Morning, everybody. Josh with the Firearm Convention 350 Legend Group. Today, we're going to be loading some 222 Remington. And we're going to be loading 222 Remington with the Sierra 53 grain hollow point number 1400. This is a classic target projectile for the 222 Remington. Classic target projectile for the 222. Loading these up in preparation for the groundhog shoot out in Shippensburg, Pennsylvania. There's a light factory class, and the 222 I have fits that perfectly. So I ordered in some new Norma brass, primed them with CCI number 400 primers, and we'll be running IMR 4198 today. And we're going to start at 20 grains and go up to 21 and see where we're at. We're running a CZ 527. So, we're going to run, a little bit above regular 222 loads, just because, this is a modern rifle. It's not a older break action 222 or something of that nature. So we're not going to hinder ourselves at the 50,000 pound limit that the 222 normally resides at. So we're going to start at 20 grains. As you can see, I've already got my overall length on this box, 2.233. And we are going to charge the first row at 20, the second row at 21. I'm sorry, the 20.2, and then 20.4, 20.6, 20.8, probably 20.9, and then 21. So, without much further ado, let's get on it. We're going to get the first one dispensed out here as soon as I turn on my powder thrower. And we're going to be using an MTM drop tube and funnel, because we're going to need to, get his, it's going to take a little bit. The powder's going to be up into the neck going, because this little cartridge is just, it's smaller than 223. Not by a lot, but it is smaller than 223. In fact, I've got one over here. Let me get it out. Here's some 223 I've shot out of my AR-15. As you can tell, there is a difference. There's not much difference, but there is a difference. 222 has a little bit longer neck, a little bit shorter case. So, then why wouldn't I use a 223? Well, one, I don't really have anything that will fit the class in 223. There's certain restrictions. And, in fact, I'm just going to leave that in the case right there. I don't have anything that's going to meet the restrictions in 223. And the 222 is a classic bench rest rifle, or cartridge, before the 223 came about. The only reason why the 223 is, so much better, and that's over by a hair. So we're going to have to dump this. Remember, guys, we're going for absolute precision here. So I want these loads to be a perfect 20 grains. Not 20.1, not 19.9, but a perfect 20. Or I'm not going to use them. Awesome. So the 222 is a classic bench rest rifle, chambering before the 22 PPC or the 6 PPC came about. And, the rules state no PPCs or bench rest rifles. This one as well is just over by a tiny little tick. 20 up 0.0. When I say it's over by a tiny tick, I pull out just a couple granules, and it goes back down to 20 grains. Love my RCBS Charge Master. Makes this kind of work absolutely easy. There's case 3. Now I'm going to, when I seat my bullets, I'm going to seat the bullets using my Lyman calipers to the tip measurement. A lot of people say you need to measure off the ogive. They are correct. You know, the ogive is a better way to measure, but I don't have an overall length comparator. You know, I don't have any way to go on the ogive there. So for myself, I'm going to have to just use the tip, you know, like the old style. And I figure, you know, back in the day, that's how they measured them, and people won bench rest competitions that way. So I'm going to give it a shot. Do I think I'm going to win? No, I don't. I think there's going to be a lot of guys there that are better than I am. This is my first time going to a match, so I figured, why not? Let's give it a shot, see what happens. What's the worst that's going to happen? I fail miserably? Pretty much. I have a good time doing it, though, I'm sure. And we're dumping that powder nice and slow so that the drop tube has plenty of time to help settle that powder into the case. And I'm going to look and see if we can't get a picture here. There you can see it kind of. I mean, so that we're pretty full. We're basically about halfway up the shoulder. About halfway up the shoulder right there. So by the time we get that last grain in there, we'll be right at the bottom of the neck. So that's where we're at with that. Now let's get these bullets. And I've already, you know, checked their length. I've trimmed them to length. I've chamfered and deburred. So basically all we're doing now is just seating bullets. Nice and easy, because I don't want there to be any there's the bullet. And I'm readjusting my die here. Now there, it's just seated in the neck. We're just seated in the neck there. That's obviously too long. Let me see where we're at, because that just looks funny. So we are sitting at 2.355. So I need to come down almost 150 thou. And then once I do, we'll lock this in place. But we're going to come down slowly. We're not going to come down, you know, at all that fast, because we don't want to overshoot the number we're going for today. So we're almost down to 2.3. Now some people might be wondering, well, why won't you just go with a 2.3? This is a magazine fed rifle, and I want to stay in the magazine. So, you know, I want to load my ammunition from the magazine. There's going to be a lot of guys there that's going to be shooting like what you would call a walking varmint rifle. And that walking varmint rifle is going to be chambered in something fast, like a 22-250 or a 204 Ruger, or, you know, what have you, to beat the wind, basically, because you've got to shoot 10 shots at a couple different targets at 1, 2, and 300 yards. And guess what? They're shaped like groundhogs. So now we're coming down. We're at 2.243. And I think we're just going to drop the 0.003 off that. I think we're just going to go to 2.23. But anyway, I'm doing this because I want to be able to feed from the magazine. I want to be able to get my first 5 shots off while wind conditions are the same. And not have to worry about, doing more sighters and all that stuff. Where other guys, they're shooting these ultra-fast, lightweight rifles. They're going to be able to buck wind out at 200 and 300 yards much easier than I can. So for me, it's going to be a wind game. Right there we are at 2.233. I'm going to come down just another 0.003. Before that, I'm going to use my handy dandy little screwdriver here because I have fat fingers. I'm going to lock this in place at this point. I want to make sure that it doesn't move. And like I said, we're just going to drop down to 2.3 inches. I'm at 2.32. Come down just a scooch more. And give us a measure here. What do we got? Oh man, perfect. So let me see if I can get this on the camera. We are sitting at 2.3. It's calipers. I'm not going to give it that half, but that's where we're at. And as you can see on this neck here, I'll show you here. On this neck, you can see where my bullet stops. So I've got a good bit of powder capacity left here. I'm not seating this bullet all the way down into here. I'm going to be seating the bullet, right here, about halfway down the neck. And that gives me a little bit extra powder capacity that, you're just not going to get if you were shooting, say, a different, overall length. So this is a good example of when to understand what your book's telling you and understand what you're doing, because that's a big difference, guys. Like if you're new to reloading, awesome, that's great, but don't just go around and start making assumptions like you just assume I'm making this assumption here and doing this the way I want. I've been loading now for 10 years. I've probably loaded in excess of 80,000 rounds in those 10 years. And there's some things you just kind of learn. This is one of those things. So there's our first run done at 20 grains. So now we're going to change the charge to 20.2. Clear that out. 20.2. Dispense. And then we're going to, now from here forward, I'm not touching, move these out so we can see them. I'm not going to be touching the overall length between all of these loads. Because what I don't want to do is try and figure out, did this load shoot better than this load because I adjusted my overall length? You know what I mean? So I'll continually check my overall length, make sure that I'm not creeping up. I'm not creeping, longer for whatever reason. And that's our rooster. But I'm not going to be going and doing anything crazy and changing overall lengths on this run. There's 20.2 in that one. Zero the scale. We're going to get these 5 charged up. There it is, 20.2. And I do have another powder we're going to try as well. I'm going to use 4198. It's a little slow for the It's a little slow for the 222, but there is load data available from Alliant, or I'm sorry, Ramshot, and that's for this stuff here, tack. It's my favorite powder for the 223, and since I'm going to be running, you know, a fairly similar cartridge, there is load data for tack available online from Ramshot, so I figured I will see what we got going on there. And this powder funnel is most definitely a godsend, you know, because once you start getting up there in you know, these larger charges in smaller cases, you have to drop tube them to get them to fit in the case. It's like I've seen a lot on Facebook. A lot of people are concerned about compressed charges. A compressed charge really doesn't mean anything. Compressed charge really doesn't mean a whole lot of anything. It just means that it's compressed. That's it. You know, there's nothing crazy special about it. You know, it just might be a slow powder for that cartridge. And being that it's a slow powder for the cartridge, you know, you can literally cram it full. You can put 10 pounds of crap in a 5-pound sack, and congratulations, you now have, you know, a safe load, but a compressed load. Okay, now I'm going to hit cancel stop. We're going to seat these bullets. And as far as dies, guys, today I'm using a set of RCBS full-length 222 dies. I am, you know, using a Lee Classic Cast O-frame press. I mean, I've used this press to reload 50 Brownie, and I use this press instead of this semi-progressive Classic Cast from Lee, this turret, because this is going to be a more rugged, a more sturdy press, and that's exactly what I want out of, you know, my loads here. I want to remove any little bit of outside influence I can off of these loads, because whichever one of these shoots the best is the one I'm taking to the groundhog shoot. Speaking of the groundhog shoot, it's in Shippensburg. It's actually next weekend, July 27th, and that's 2019. I won't be going to that one. I'll be going to the one on the 24th. Wait, what's today's date? 24th or 27th? Yeah, it's the 27th is going to be this month. The 24th is next month. I had it right. So now we're going to do 20.6 dispense. Yeah, so we're going to put the 20.6 in here. I need to do 20.4. Cancel stop. Throw that back. See, and this is one thing you got to keep in mind, guys. You want to make sure you keep a mental eye on what you're doing here, because, you know, I almost skipped 20.4. But, you know, I can see someone now going, well, if you can't figure it out, then you shouldn't be talking and making a video. You know what's nice about a video? I can go back if I'm really confused and play the video and see exactly what I did. You know, so there's no guesswork on my end. I have an eye that's not going to lie to me no matter what I do. I'll be able to go, oh yeah, hey dummy, you did that wrong. So I would say maybe if you're new to reloading, video yourself reloading, even if you don't put it on Facebook. Because you may very well, have a mishap where you go, oh, I don't think I did that. And a video will quickly catch you from making a mistake. And of course, everybody likes YouTube videos, so we could always use another YouTube video, right? I know there's a million videos of reloading 223s, but you can see in the corner of your screen, there's a Dillon sitting right there. There's another Dillon sitting on the other side of it. So at some point we'll be doing videos of, reloading on those as well. Just not today. Today it's a pretty chill day. We're just going to be loading some 222. On a single stage. It's like, I've been working with the 222 for a couple years now, and recently I put it on the shelf for no reason other than I just got a varmint load for it that shot good enough. It shot right around an inch with a 40 grain bullet, and I've been using it, on and off sporadically to go hunt groundhogs here in western Pennsylvania. And it just never lets me down. So I've never really messed with developing another load for it till just now. I used 4198 for the 40 grain bullet. I think my 40 grain load, the bullet was going out somewhere around 3,400 feet per second. So, I mean, it was scooting right along. Yeah, it was scooting right along. But I wasn't sure if going to a 53 grain, flat base match bullet might give me the performance I was looking for those short range, the short ranges that I'll be shooting at this match. And if I find a matched, load, I may retire the 40 grain loads altogether. Just because these 53 grain bullets are very well known for doing really nasty things to small targets, like groundhogs. And I'm not putting any crimp on these at all. None. We don't need a crimp. I'm not going to run a crimp. Crimps only address inconsistencies in your brass. That's why people say, well, when I was, loading from a 30-06, I got a much better group when I started crimping, so I crimp everything. That's awesome, and I'm not putting anybody down for that. But 20.6 dispense. But a crimp only helps you if you're running mixed brass, if you're running unknown times fired brass. If you're just a guy that's going to be reloading for your 30-06 and reloading for your 30-06 and you're not going to be sorting brass, or you're not going to be worrying about how many times you fired that one piece of brass, then yes, I will tell you right now that a crimp is probably going to help you get better groups. But when you're buying an entire batch of brass at one time, and then you're running this entire batch of brass through the firing cycle, and that's important. If I only load 50 cases today and go shoot those cases, the next time I do some more load development, I'm going to go with the 50 unfired cases. That way, this entire set of brass is sitting at 1x firing, and I don't have this 25 at twice, this batch at 25 or 30 at twice or once, and this batch at 0 firings, because that doesn't help you out in the least bit as far as getting everything squared away. The name of the game is consistency with your brass. That's the name of the game. With a 222, it's such a small case. Going up 2/10 of a grain in powder charge, I might skip a node. I may very well easily skip a node on accident, going this high, this fast. But that's okay. I'll see my groups coming down, coming out of one group, coming out of one node and starting to hit another node. And then, I'll realize that I may have skipped a node at, say, 20.7 was the node. 20.6 and 20.8 are outside of it. But I'll just come through and I'll try 20.7 and I'll try 20.9, at a later date. That's all about reloading for consistency, reloading for the bench. You just gotta not let anything go unturned. Let no load go unturned. Because the one that you didn't try, even though, unless you just get some crazy good groups, like unless one of these loads just turn in a ridiculous, like, half-inch group at 100 yards, then I'm pretty much going to be, checking out different overall lengths. I'll be checking out different charge weights, because one of these are going to shoot well, and that's the one I'm looking for. And when we get up to 20.8, we get up to 21. I'll show you how much is powders in the case, so you can get an idea of what that looks like. Okay. Now let's cancel stop. Put that back. 20.8 dispense. Now when I go to load my 223, I'll run these 69 grain, hollow point boat tails. But unfortunately, my 222 is saddled with a 1 in 14 twist, or I would most assuredly be running the heavy bullets. Even in a 222, I would run heavy bullets. But only shooting out to 300 yards, I think these 53s will work just fine. Like I said, I'm really hoping to find a load in this that just absolutely drops a hammer. But the problem with a 222 is pretty much every load is not horrible. I've shot a lot of loads when I was testing the 40 grain bullets, and I shot, I want to say 250, 300 bullets just doing load development, and was like, man, everything shoots well. Everything shoots well. So I kind of, picked the one that shot the best, which was the max charge, because I started and I did a workup just like this. And I was like, man, max charge, this thing, shoots just as good as or a little bit better than the bottom charge. So, why not go with that top end charge? And I mean, this little gun has just shot. Now we have one little granule of powder that's stuck. There you go. I don't know if that's going to make a difference, but it's in there now. It's like recently I've been doing work with a 350 Legend, which is kind of it's basically this case, a 222 length case, but blown straight. There's no shoulder taper at all to it. And it's been a fun round. I've got a Remington 700 build out for that. Now hit cancel, stop. Yeah, I've got a Remington 700 build out just for that. And that's going to be probably my go-to deer rifle this year. We got to do some testing. Yes, that's the word. We're going to do some field testing to see what's going on with that cartridge. As far as, if you notice how long it takes me to seat a bullet itself, I want to make sure that I'm not jamming these bullets, just jamming them in the case. I want to make sure, to the best of my ability, that when I seat one, I give that bullet all the opportunity it's ever going to have to seat straight and true for the least amount of run out. We don't want this bullet to be canted left or right in the case. And since it's a flat base, and it's not, say, a boat tail, they take a little bit more finesse to get just right to seat them in there. Now, boat tails, you might ask, well, why aren't you just running a boat tail then? Well, I could. Boat tails tend to be less accurate between 0 and 300 yards. For whatever reason, that's just life. That's how it works. But boat tails tend to be less accurate. They take a little bit more time to settle down. Okay. Now off to 21. This will be the last charge. And when we go to the range, I'll work up the load. Go up to 21 grains. Of course, I'm going to mark all this down and we'll write it all down in my book, because that's how we do it. There you go. Are you going to beep for me? There it is. It sat on 21 grains for a couple seconds there. So we only went up 1 grain in powder charge. But that 1 grain in comparison to the total load is what you got to look at. Going up 1 grain in a 9mm is, like, I don't know, 10 or 15% of the load. Or no, be more than that. Be closer to 20% of the load. Whereas going up 1 grain in a 50 BMG is like a 200th